Well, we have breaking news coming in. A win for the Bengal government in the Supreme Court, as the Supreme Court has ruled that Mamata Banerjee government's suit against the centre is valid. The government had approached the Supreme Court over the Central Bureau of Investigation registering cases in West Bengal. The Bengal government had revoked general consent for CBI, and now we're told the next hearing in the case is on the 13th of next month. The next hearing in the case is on the 13th of August. A win, though, for the Bengal government in the Supreme Court, as the Supreme Court has ruled that Mamata Banerjee's government's suit against the centre is indeed valid. We are waiting for Sunil Prabhu to join us with the latest details from the Supreme Court. But if I can bring you up to date with the breaking news information we're tracking, a win for the Bengal government in the top court, as the Supreme Court has ruled that Mamata's government's suit against the centre is valid. Do remember that the government had actually approached the Supreme Court over the Central Bureau of Investigation registering cases in Bengal. The Bengal government had revoked general consent for the Central Bureau of Investigation. My colleague Sunil Prabhu is with us at the moment, joining us with the latest from the Supreme Court. Sunil, the Supreme Court has clearly said that Mamata government's suit against the centre is indeed valid.
That's right. So what they've basically done, to simplify to our viewers, every state has, the power to give a general consent. For example, in Karnataka, if you want, CBI to investigate, the state will have to give a general consent for the CBI to act accordingly. Under the Delhi Police Special Establishment Act, they get that overarching powers to do so. In West Bengal, the state has withdrawn it. Can the CBI, on its own, unilaterally go ahead and start arrests in the West Bengal? That was the case against for which the state of West Bengal went to the Supreme Court, and the centre has now said that their point is absolutely correct and valid and maintainable. And it's in this context that they will have to hear the entire matter. They've given various judgments in this regard, and it's in this context that they have said very categorically that without the general consent, the CBI cannot overreach its powers and go to the state of West Bengal.
Thanks so much, Sunil, for joining us with the latest from the Supreme Court. Saurabh Gupta is with us as well over the phone line. Saurabh, it's considered a win for the Bengal government in the Supreme Court?
This is going to have a political impact as well, because one of the debates that we've seen in West Bengal and several other opposition-ruled states is the fact that they have alleged, these governments, which are opposition governments, have always alleged that the CBI and other central agencies, for that matter, have acted at the behest of the BJP, which is in power at the centre. This has been a constant complaint of opposition-ruled states. This has been built into their election narratives as well, especially in West Bengal, where the CBI, ED have been very active in, investigation of cases. Now, several cases have been handed over by the High Court here to the CBI. But this is about general consent, and this, of course, is about the fact that whether the CBI on its own can register cases. And that's something that Sunil explained. What does general consent for the CBI mean? Now, that the continuation of registration of cases is constitutional overreach is what the verdict is. Of course, this is Justice Gawai dictating the verdict. And he said, as has been held in the case of the state of Rajasthan versus Union, the legal rights of the state consist in their immunity. In our considered opinion, the contentions of the defendant cannot be accepted and the suit shall proceed. We will clarify that findings are for the purpose of deciding preliminary objections and will have no bearing when the case is decided on merit. So this, of course, is the initial point of the Supreme Court. Now, the date for this matter has been fixed in September. But this is interesting because what Justice Gawai has said in court is that it has wide ramifications over federalism. And one of the accusations of all opposition parties has been that the federal structure of the country is being altered. Opposition states have maintained this for a number of cases, and they say that this is something that is likely to be altering the federal structure. And therefore, this is something that's going to be important to watch as to what the Supreme Court says. However, the Supreme Court has cleared the findings today that they said are for the purpose of deciding the preliminary objection and will have no bearing when the case is decided on merits. That is when the state of West Bengal and other states argue, other stakeholders argue, and also the centre has its view on these matters as well. And these arguments will take place once the matter is heard in September. But this is going to be a very important case. As the Supreme Court judge says, it is also likely to be having wide ramifications over federalism or the federal structure of the country, something that the opposition parties, especially parties like the Trinamool Congress, have said is being altered by the BJP, and they add that central agencies are being misused, and one of those central agencies has been the CBI.
Right, Saurabh. So what exactly then happens to the past cases?
Well, I mean, I think the court will have to clarify because, several cases have been handed over by the High Court, and courts have the power to hand over cases to central agencies. So whether the, court decisions, High Court decisions override the general consent, all of that is something that perhaps we will have greater clarity on, because there are certain areas in the law which are largely framed by, judicial pronouncements. And therefore, this is something that is going to have political impact. It is also going to impact the larger argument that opposition parties have made, like I said, of the federal structure of the country, where state governments enjoy certain amount of autonomy to run their, sort of governments. But CBI, they say, and including CBI, other agencies, they say, has been misused by the BJP. So this is, of course, something that we will see come up for hearing in the next few days.